Welcome to the Catalyst Sale Podcast. Many of us struggle with sales, whether it's from confidence, comfort, and just not wanting to be salesy. We want to help our customers. We know we can, but we complicate the process. This podcast is designed to help professionals like you improve at sales through process, practice, frameworks, and thinking differently about what you already know. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and with us this episode, and every episode, is Mike Simmons, the founder of Catalyst Sale. Hello, Mike.
Here I am.
Here you are. Well, we're going to get into something I think is really fun, really useful. It is a game plan. Now, that means two things. Mike, tell us, what is the game plan?
Well, the game plan is a framework that you can use to help improve your ability to execute when it comes to goal setting and execution. And actually, two of the words used in the game framework have just been revealed: goals and execution.
That's right. The beginning and the end of the game plan. And we're going to get into this. We're going to walk through what it's like to use the game plan for a goal. Mike, tell us first, though, where did this idea of game plan come from?
It was kind of funny. You know how sometimes where you've got this blind spot where you're so close to something, you lose sight of, whether you're in the forest and you're focused on the trees and you lose sight of the actual forest, you lose sight of things, or things fall outside of your perspective. And you and I were having a conversation, and you were actually interviewing me relative to the launch that were done around this. And I laid this out and you said, wow, that kind of sounds like game. And I had no freaking idea that when you pull the first letter of each of these components that you come up with game. And it's just because I've been so into the moment or into the work. But game framework is much more interesting than generally calling it goal setting and execution through clarity and focus. I am not a marketer. And that was evident here. And Jody, this was we'll call this a collaborative effort where you helped me identify something that I was blind to.
Well, that happens sometimes. Everything there was in Mike's head. It's just when he said it out loud, he's talking about goals and activities and metrics and execution. I'm like, wait a minute, Mike. So that's where it came from. The game plan for goal setting and execution. So that's what it is. G for goals, A for activities, M for metrics, E for execution. Now, Mike, I thought it'd be fun as we explain what each of those is to actually walk through a goal and how to use this. But first, let me say this. The game plan is a simple one-page document that you can print out and use for every single goal you want to accomplish. You could have, 10 of these. I don't know if Mike would want you to, if that's a good idea, you could have 10 of these pinned up on your wall. It's just that simple. You could print it out and you write what your goal is and go from there. So Mike, I've got this printed out in front of me, but first, where can we get this game plan?
If you go to catalystsale.com/game plan, you can enter your information in the landing page that we've got set up there, and you will get a PDF copy of this one pager.
Yeah. And it's great how simple it is. Just a one pager. You can use it over and over again. You can use it for several. So Mike, let's do a goal and then we'll walk through all of this. So the first one is goal. I don't know if you want to give me a goal, you want me to just pick a goal and we'll walk through it. But I think that's a great way to see how this works. You walk me through using the game plan.
Okay, so Jody, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. I know you have been working on a book for an extended period of time, and I'm also going to say that this does not open the door for you to pick on me relative to a book that I've been working on for an extended period of time. So you've gone through the process. You're working on a book. So is there a goal that you have relative to the book you're working on?
Well, my next thing that needs to happen is I need to have it done. I will say like 3 months, 90 days. And by done, the first draft. I'm not talking it has to be to the publisher. It has to be completely edited. I just need that first draft done, no matter how good or bad it is. And I just need that done.
Okay, so we're going to make this this is a broad goal. The broad goal is you need to have the book done, the first draft, in the hands of somebody else, so done, or you can hand it off to somebody in the next 90 days. Why is that important? Why is the next 90 days important to you? Why is it important to have that done in 90 days?
Well, for two reasons. One is I feel like I'm so far behind now. And if I don't put a date on it, and this is one thing I know Mike talks about, if I don't put a date on it that can be accountable, I can be accountable to, I can measure against, then I'll keep getting what I've already been getting, which is a trickle of words here, some there, whenever I have time, whenever I feel like I can make time. So that's why I said 3 months is I need to have a date, which again, Mike talks about that. And 3 months seems reasonable. Knowing where my word count is now, I could probably be done prior to that, but I'm giving myself 3 months because that's more than generous to get the rest of it done.
And how are you going to feel when you get it done? Like so you get it done and you send it off to somebody, then what happens? What do you feel like?
Well, I'll probably do a dance of some sort. Although I'm not the dancing kind, this just might make me dance. So this is like hiking with a rock in your shoe, that it doesn't impact your hike. It doesn't make you stop, but it always kind of bugs you. That's what this book has been for me, is I need to get it out there. I want to get it out there. And every day I don't work on it, it's like walking with a rock in your shoe, where it just bugs you, but not enough to really do something about it. And I'm finally need to take off my boot and get that rock out.
So if you're listening at home, or you're in the car, or wherever you're listening to this, you're listening at the dinner table with the kids, as some people do with the Catalyst Sale podcast these days, I've heard. And we've actually done that with the kids, so that's why I've heard it. So what I'd want you to do is print out the document, print out the one pager from catalystsale.com/game plan. And in execution, under execution, Jody would write down, and Jody, you've got the document in front of you. You're going to write down under execution why it's important for you to accomplish this goal. So you've got your goal, book, first draft, delivered in 90 days. That's in the goal section, that first box. At the bottom of the page, I want you to write down, remove this rock from my shoe that's getting in the way of other things that I want to accomplish. And if you really like dancing and you were withholding dancing on yourself, you could say, I'm going to go ahead and be able to dance. Some people will do some kind of a celebration. It's just this sense of accomplishment. But down at the bottom, write down why this thing is important, what it's going to feel like when you actually execute, why this thing is important for you to do, what you're going to feel like. And what you're doing is you're creating a scenario for yourself where you can look back when things get tough, when your focus gets pulled away. You can look back and you can look at this section and say, this is why I'm doing it. It could be because I'm moving the business forward. It could be because I'm going to feel better when I'm out there running and playing with the kids. It could be because I just want to remove this barrier that has been taking up time, energy, and attention and preventing me from doing so many other things. So this section down at the bottom around execution is your why and ultimately what it looks like when you've executed.
Okay, we've talked goals, and Mike has jumped down to the bottom of the sheet and talked execution. The next portion after goals is activities. What do we do with activities, Mike?
So activities, these are the things that you need to do, the actual actions that you're going to take, the action verb, the steps, the things that you're going to put time, energy, and attention to that are going to get you closer to executing on the goal. So there are a couple of activities that come to mind, and I'm running through these right in the book as well. There's activities. One of them is I just have to write. And maybe what I want to do is I want to, write on a daily basis, or maybe it's write a certain amount on a weekly basis, or maybe it's write a certain amount over a period of time. But one of the activities you want to do is you want to write. You may want to take some time to review. So an activity might be review or reflect. So you've got some time in there where you're reviewing content, or you're conducting research, or you're gathering information from others that might contribute to the book that you're putting together. But ultimately, in this middle section under activities, this is where you're going to document the actual things that you can do that will get you closer to executing on your goal, get you closer to delivering that first draft. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is write more. So, and I wouldn't even say, whether you say write more or just write in general, I probably would write in big letters in this box, write.
Right. Yes. And so when I look at the book, a great way to do it, if I know what the word count more or less needs to be, and I know I have 90 days, and let's say I don't want to write on weekends, well, activity there, that could be it. Okay, I need to write. I need to set a word count. Maybe that goes into metrics, which is the next step.
It does. Yeah. So you're starting to allow a little bit of scope creep when we're moving into those metrics. So you say, okay, if I'm going to write, if that's the activity I'm going to do, and we're really just trying to keep this thing really simple, like very simple. The goal is to get the book done 90 days. The reason I want to get it done is I want to get this rock out of my shoe. I want to remove this barrier that I've got that's preventing me from doing a bunch of other things. That's what I'm going to look to when I start to struggle. A lot of people talk about that as kind of like your why. Then you get into activity. The activity is right. So then the next step beyond that is going through and figuring out, well, how am I going to determine if I'm actually writing enough, if I'm doing things? What's the specific measurable that I'm going to use to hold myself personally accountable? So let's say 90,000 words, 90 days. You can break that down. You could write 1,000 words a day. If you want to make it so that you're not going to write on weekends, let's remove the weekends between now and then. Let's just say that there's 10 weekends. And then let's say we want to give ourselves a little bit of slack, maybe 8 extra days of slack. So now we're down to 72 days of actually writing. We can divide 90,000 words by 72 and get our daily word count for each of those days that we're going to be responsible for writing. And the metric itself is the word count that you get on each of those days. You could even go another step further and say, in addition to a word count that I want every day so that I have a writing goal that I have, maybe it's that I execute on that word count 5 out of 7 days. So I've got a little bit of flexibility. I don't have to do it every day, but I've got the flexibility of allowing some things to come up that'll get in the way and still hit my objective over the course of a week. So it might be write 1,500 words per day, 5 days out of the week. Now the metrics are the daily numbers out of the week. So I can check these things off someplace. I can create a calendar on a whiteboard. The number of words, I can see word count in something like Google Docs or inside Microsoft Word. And we might even go further and add a third metric. That third metric might be a shorter term goal of the number of words that are accomplished over the course of each 30-day period. But the whole point behind metrics is metrics are a way to hold yourself personally accountable, executing against the goal without having some bias that gets in the way where you can come up with an excuse that says, hey, I didn't do this because something came up, or I didn't do this because something else came up, or I didn't do this because I just didn't have anything to write down. The metrics are the things that'll help keep you focused. So goal, thing you want to do, activity, the things that will get you toward accomplishing that goal, metrics, the measurables you'll use to keep yourself accountable, and execution, the why behind it all.
Okay. So I started, having done this before, I started to blend my activities and the metrics. So you did a good job at splitting them out again, because you can't set what you need to measure until you know your activities first. So again, activities, I just need to write. And maybe that is, I'm going to do it between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. every morning. That could be an activity too. So there's goals, activities, metrics. Mike, you mentioned execution before, but just to round us out, tell us more about, end us with execution.
Yeah, I mean, the execution piece is really more about, like when I'm done, how am I going to feel? When I run into some hard times, what am I going to look at to help keep me moving forward? If it's a weight loss goal and I'm really tired and I come home and I've got a half a gallon of ice cream inside the fridge, what's the reason, the why behind me not opening up the freezer and digging into that half a gallon of ice cream? This vision of what's going to happen, what the future is going to look like when I've actually executed on this goal. So this is that, some people will call it their North Star. Some people will call it their area of focus. Some people, if we're Covey and we're starting to think about, begin with the end in mind. These are all things that we can use, however you see it fit on here. These are things that you can use to help keep you focused in those times where things get a little bit dark or things get a little bit uneasy or you start to get a little bit lazy.
Okay, there it is, the game plan. Mike, tell us again, where can we get this?
CatalystSale.com/game plan. And if you're in a situation where you can't write that down or you can't go directly to the URL, just go to our Twitter account at Catalyst Sale, send me either a direct message or comment to us via Twitter, and we will share a link.
All right, you're going to love it because it's simple. It's so easy to fill out. It's just one page. There's nothing complex about it. You can use it over and over again. So, Mike, thank you for creating this. Thank you for a great episode. And thank you for listening to the Catalyst Sale Podcast.